Welcome back to the Instructor Chronicles Raw and Uncut. I am joined here again with Elli, Happy Horse, Happy Life instructor, for part 2 of her interview. Thanks for joining us, Elli.
Thank you for having me.
So my question for you to start up part 2, you've had a long career in the horse industry. You've done some amazing things with horses. Do you consider yourself talented with horses?
Are you calling me old?
No! You've just done a lot of stuff in a short amount of time.
I've lived so many lives already.
I know.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I would call myself talented.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody once said the way you define talent is the skills and ability measured today. So I've learned a lot over the last 20 years, I would say, with horses. I've been exposed to lots of good mentors and coaches and horses. So if that's how you want to define talent, is by what the skills and abilities that I've accumulated over the past, yes, maybe, but it's not a natural thing. It's for sure a learned behavior, I think. I want to say my dog's pretty well trained, which is, I mean, I didn't know that I could do that. So, you know, I feel like there's oftentimes some stipulation out there. I'm like, she's talented, or I don't think anybody would ever say, oh, I'm so talented and you are not, or whatever. So, if you look at it from skills and ability measured today, I would say, yeah, there is something there, right?
But something that you've worked pretty hard for.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that definition. I've actually never heard of that before. That's really cool. What's the toughest horse you've ever had?
They're all like snowflakes. And so good and so different. And something that comes to my mind with that is one of the horses that is here at Happy Horse Haven. And pretty challenging horse. And what the kind of thought process that triggered is like, I think they want to be good, right? They want to be happy horses.
Right.
Just like most of us want to live a happy life.
Yeah.
And if they don't have or never had the opportunity to kind of have that connection, whether that's within themselves or with a herd or another horse or hopefully a human, it must be like living in their own kind of prison or unhappy place, right? And so if we can empower, that was the mic. If we can empower them to live happier lives, like that's such a awesome thing that we get to do with our lives and for their lives and for them. So from that point of view, I could name some horses that were pretty challenging and that I have had the opportunity to work with, whether they were mine or not. But my first personal horse turned out to be pretty challenging. She was a Swiss, or she's still alive over there and back with her breeder that I got her from.
Oh, cool.
But I went to try her out, and she wasn't like anything big, or she was obviously powerful, but she was pretty short. She was, I don't know, 15 hands maybe. But I went to try her out, and then on my way home, I stopped at the tack store to buy a riding helmet. Let's bring this puppy back. Yeah, because she was super impulsive, and at the time, that was the most challenging horse for me. And since I've learned strategies to help them through that. And then I had a horse in training once that came with some baggage, and I probably didn't ask the right questions. And he was quite a piece of work. I mean, it took a long time to undo that baggage and repack the suitcase to send him on his way.
That's a good challenge when they come with that history.
But I'm particular about what kind of horses or whose horses I take in for training, because I'm not Cowboy Joe from around the corner that will start your horse any kind of way. Right. I put my heart and soul into developing that horse and setting them up for whatever future they're headed for, whether that's restarts, cold starts, foundation training, all kinds of things. And I take them on as each has their own individual challenge that hopefully I can improve their lives for them and help them have happier lives.
Can you think of a horse, or maybe it's even a situation that's where you had to really go through a lot of personal growth or change?
Yeah. Yeah, several situations in my life, but probably, and I don't know if you were referring to the biggest chapter of my life with consistent personal growth, never ending 24/7 opportunities off that was my time with Pat and Linda Parelli, which I had the opportunity to spend 7 years with.
A long time.
Yes, both here in Florida and in Colorado and on the road all over the country. And I loved it. It was a good challenge, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat for sure. Yeah.
And what, so hopefully this question will make sense, but going into that experience, in what ways did you grow? Or in what ways, when you think about it was quite a bit of time, and it's an intense experience. So you went in as one person and then you came out, what changes did you find you went through, or what growth did you have to go through to really rise to that occasion? But then also probably just because you were in that situation, it's you're going to change.
Yeah, there were so many aspects to it. From a horsemanship point of view, I was a 2-star instructor at the time. I think when I started, I'd passed my level 4 and all that. And then, started out as an extern and went through the program. And at times I was Linda had one student and Pat had one student, and we were both from Switzerland. That was, I don't know, coincidence.
Yeah.
But from a teaching point of view, because I got to teach whatever instructors or students came to spend time with Pat, and got to teach courses on campus, 2-week-long courses, which is an amazing amount of time that as a student you get to spend with your horse in kind of a protected space, and totally immersed. And in the real world, not many people get to have that opportunity, other than you and I and some of the barn crew that commit that kind of time and energy to their journey and their horse because they can, or they make it happen. And then also being far, far away from my home country, which now this has become my home. And family, but then you build your own family, and family doesn't always have to be blood, right? So I think that was, aside from all the technical and exposure aspects, I think creating my own life in a country far, far away from where I was born and from where I grew up, I think that's probably the biggest aspect of that personal growth. And becoming a U.S. citizen in the meantime. And just having all those responsibilities, managing the barn, managing Caton, managing Pat's office and his schedule, and the students and the horses, and
you did everything.
Yeah.
You're a one-woman show.
At times, for sure. But then also, oftentimes I would have a team there, and then having to grow into that leadership role with other humans, not necessarily just horses.
Right.
That was a challenge. Public speaking. In front of, it's one thing to perform or be on a savvy team or something like that, or a part of a session that Pat or Linda would orchestrate in front of a crowd, but then when that mic is on,
you're on.
And then some things get lost in translation. So that was a big time of personal growth, and hopefully that will continue in some other shape or form. Yeah.
If you think about your horse journey, if there was one thing you could change, what would it be? Or is there one thing?
Well, no regrets. No, there is. I probably wouldn't torture my poor levels horse through the level 3 finesse audition. I'm pretty sure she did not love me at the time.
I know nothing about that. No.
Yeah, the old level 3 where you had to do all kinds of counter canter and flying changes on the diagonal and whatnot. I'm sure I mean, it's always easier in hindsight. And knowing what I know now, I would set that up totally different.
Right.
But it was a learning process for me as a horsewoman. And so now that I know better, I can do better.
Yeah, like never again.
Yeah. But, and that one time that I was, beating horses up behind the barn.
Oh yeah, we won't talk about that.
Just kidding.
Speaking of that, no, just kidding. So in the horse industry, there's a lot of ego. I'm sure you've seen it. How do you think that affects horse training and even just learning?
That's a big question. Yeah, like, not that
And ego's hard. I mean, we all have, we all have ego.
Yeah.
It's just how you, I think, use it or manifest it, or I don't know.
Well, and I can't speak for other people and their actions. Everybody has to be able to go to bed at night when they lay their head on the pillow and have their own thoughts and consciousness about that. Me personally, I like to have that filter of, if whatever horse I'm training or working with, if that horse's mom was watching, would she be pleased? So that doesn't mean that I just feed the horse carrots and stuff cookies in their mouth. But like, can whatever I'm helping the horse with or through, can I do that with and for the horse and not to the horse? Because really, I mean, if somebody pays me for horse training, then hopefully they pay me with that in mind and not because they want to get things done by a certain timeline. Which if that works out and the horse is in charge of the timelines and those timelines align, even better.
Yeah.
Slow and right beats fast and wrong, but right and fast beats everything.
Yeah. And that's tricky when you're training a horse because you have the pressure of, getting results and wanting to improve and show the person that owns the horse, look, we're making progress. So it can be a tricky situation because I know you train horses and do a lot of that. So yeah, it's just kind of a tricky situation to be in.
Totally, yeah, and that's then the ego comes in too, and yeah, absolutely. So, hopefully that's why I said I'm particular about taking horses in for training because I'm not gonna get things done just any way.
Right.
I want to do it the right way. So, hopefully the owners will align with those principles before they commit. Yeah.
Elli told the funny story of how she was interviewing someone. Remember, you were interviewing the owner to make sure you're like, this has to be the right situation. Which I think that's great because if they're not aligned with you, then it's not going to be a good setup. So I really like that story. It was very inspiring for me. What's the worst thing that you've seen done to a horse?
Yeah, and I've heard you ask the question to others, and I'm like, I don't know that we need to talk about negative things, but you can get a horse to do a lot of things. Some of the more interesting scenarios that I've witnessed is there was the fork thing on the tractor, the front loader or whatever you call that, with a round bale on it. And the goal was to get the horse to go in the trailer, and so they tried to use the round bale to push the horse into the trailer.
Oh my gosh.
And then at shows that I've been to, seeing, young teenage girls giving their horses injections so that they would be rideable, those kind of things. So, I mean, I could list some physical abuse that I've had to witness, and hopefully, you can walk away from those situations. Even if you might not be able to change them. But then the other thing is kind of not necessarily just the physical worst things, but also what is done to the dignity of horses. And that's another kind of big filter of mine. Well, you can argue like horses weren't built to be ridden in the first place, but if you can do things with and for them, then you can keep their dignity intact, which I think is very important. Aside from physical abuse that is out there.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the dumbest thing you've ever done with a horse?
Oh my God. How much more time do we have? So many dumb things.
If you had to pick the craziest or the dumbest, what would you pick?
Probably being too lazy to take my spurs off when I'm riding bareback and bridleless.
Oh no.
I mean, it was just stupid. Nobody got hurt, but it never pays to be lazy.
Yeah.
And then you got regret. So what happened was I was exercising a horse that had a cinch sore. I rubbed from the cinch, and so I was going to ride that horse bareback, not with a pad or anything.
Right.
And so I was too lazy to take my spurs off because I'm just exercising, and did a couple of transitions, and then I asked the horse to go, and we went, and I asked the horse to woe, and we woed, and then the horse goed, or the horse went, and I wasn't ready. But I was aware that I was wearing spurs. So instead of gripping with my legs and trying to keep him between my legs, I just said, okay, fine, and just tumbled off backwards into the sand. So, unfortunately, the coach saw that from a long distance away.
No. Like, what are you doing?
But that was just a dumb example of something I did. And probably wouldn't do again.
Yeah, lesson learned.
Yeah, exactly.
Elli, you've been successful at many things, in your horsemanship, snowboarding, really anything that you set your mind to.
Yeah.
What is the secret to your success?
Well, there's this quote that says, success is nothing else but one failure after the other and not giving up. I don't know. Thank you for saying that. I don't know that everything I touch turns into gold or success. Not being afraid of doing dumb things or silly things. And sometimes luck is spelled W-O-R-K. Work. Did I spell that right?
Yes.
I mean, I'll go out of my way to not miss out on things. Get up early, stay up late, get my hands dirty, do things that might not necessarily be right on the pathway to success. You've probably seen that drawing, right? Where it says success is not a straight line like that. It goes up and down, around the corner, and a detour. So that's kind of how I feel, especially with my journey with Parelli too. Like it was full of bumps and it was not a straight line. But if you're persistent enough and don't lose sight of the goal, no matter what kind of detours you have to do to take there, and do your part and put in the hours and the work like you girls are doing here. Whether that'll lead to success in form of competition or just inner happiness as well. You've tried, you've done it, you've gotten to where you wanted to or close to, or maybe then that leads you onto another path. And I didn't know I wanted to do that, right?
Yeah, so, another opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And
yeah.
I mean, there's you know what FOMO is? Yeah. I have a severe case of that.
Me too. I never can make a decision. I'm like, what is the wrong decision? What if I miss out on this or miss out on this?
We should probably translate that for the audience.
Yeah.
That means fear of missing out, FOMO. Yeah. There's so much fun to be had and so little life to be lived. And back to the mismatches in horses, I used to read a lot before I had a smartphone with Facebook on it, but life is too short to read bad books, right? So sometimes you got to just close the book or the chapter and go on to something else. And whether you already know what that is or not, just start somewhere and then see where it takes you. Yeah.
I love that. That's good. I'm going to remember that when I'm making decisions. In Linda's personal growth training, she'll often say to wake up motivated and energized every day. Even when things get hard, you have to have a goal bigger than you. What is your goal?
Yeah, I've had lots of goals. I think my goal in life would be to do good and to be kind and hopefully leave some kind of a legacy. But then again, I'm like, is that just for my own sake, or am I actually leaving a legacy for the world to be better? So, I try to live every day to the fullest, FOMO or not, and go to bed fulfilled and hopefully happy, and then wake up energized in the morning so that we can do it all over again and aim for 1% improvement or progress every day. I always keep a to-do list on my phone in the Notes app, and like the list is way longer than there are minutes or hours in a day. But there's always something to do. And when I was snowboarding, my mantra used to be go big or go home. And I mean, nowadays, like the other day we were at a memorial gathering for somebody who had died in an avalanche, several years ago.
Oh, wow.
I want to say about 8 or 9 years ago. And that people still gather, that many years after, and just have a bonfire and just think nice thoughts about you. That would be nice.
Yeah.
But then again, that's more about me than it is about what I leave behind. So if I can go through life and have a positive impact on people to where they then live happier lives, and whether that's with horses or without, and not get caught up in road rage myself. So I think the more you can make a difference in other people's or horses' lives and make them happy or help them find happiness, then the happier that'll leave yourself.
This is probably a silly question after that answer, but what made you want to become a happy horse, happy life instructor?
Because I wanted to be happy. I wanted to join Linda's pony party. So, aside from the changes within Parelli over the last year or so, there was a time, I was maybe a year or two into my time with Pat, and he was leaving on a trip, and I wrote a handwritten letter that I snuck into his briefcase that said, I'm so appreciative of everything I'm learning here, and I'm really enjoying my time with you. However, in order to be a well-rounded horsewoman, and also because I come from an English riding background, I would really love to eventually, within the next 6 months or so, transition over to Linda Land and spend time with Linda. And I don't think Linda knows about this. But obviously that never happened.
Yeah.
And again, no regrets. It had the best time. But when all these changes happened, I thought, this is the perfect opportunity to finally get more of Linda on the inside of Elli. And I feel like what she has to offer from a confidence point of view, for people becoming better riders, and then the whole personal growth and kind of life coaching, that's something I've always had on my bucket list. And I'm probably not going to go back to school and study psychology or life coaching, but at least I can get a little bit of that as well. And for my own teachermanship and horsemanship as well, for my own continued education.
Right.
Those were all reasons that I decided to join Happy Horse, Happy Life as a coach and mentor. And then to be able to share that as such with students all over the world.
It seems like a perfect fit, just with your positivity and your interest, and I think you already have tons of knowledge in personal growth and horsemanship. It's just like that all-encompassing, philosophy that you have.
Yeah.
Perfect Happy Horse, Happy Life instructor.
Oh, I don't know about that, but it's
a good fit.
Yeah, I feel very much at home here. Yeah.
Out of all the modules, because you've seen, them all, they're still being developed, which one do you think has been the most revealing for you?
Revealing.
In Linda's curriculum.
I'm going to have to pick connection. Sound like a broken record. Everybody says it.
I actually find it fascinating, and not everyone has picked connection, but a lot of people, that has been the answer, which I think is very interesting.
Yes. Well, yeah, and maybe that's something that, like that horse we were talking about earlier, that's probably something that all of us are craving more of.
Yeah.
With friends, family, humans, and horses, obviously. And my business name is Solutions by Elli. There's an extra U in there, so it's not just a solution, but it has a soul. And so connection I want to feel like, if you think about solutions and souls, that you want to have a connection from one soul to another, whether that comes in a 2-legged or a 4-legged body. And if you don't have that, then you don't have much of anything, or you can get a lot of stuff done. You can push that horse into the trailer with that round bale on the tractor. But there's so much room for improvement from that point of view. And instead of just going through time and space and getting stuff done, can you do it with your horse? That's very, very, you can take that to crazy levels of connection or intensity or understanding. So I think boiling everything back down to that and just using that also as a checklist. Like, is my horse connected, or what is he connected to? And then go on to relaxation or responsiveness or confidence, and from there on. That's kind of have that as an overlaying filter of everything, and make it kind of tangible too.
Yeah, because it's kind of an interesting, we know we need it, but then it's like how do you get it, or how do you recognize it?
Yeah.
So it's definitely, it's important, but I think it can be tricky to understand sometimes, unless you've experienced it or you felt it or you really know what you're looking for.
For sure. And from an instructor point of view, I don't teach too many private lessons, but in a private lesson, there's usually not a lot of time to focus on those kind of things. Whereas in a 2-week course or a 3-day course, whatever, you have the time to focus on those things and more the foo-foo-y, touchy-feely stuff rather than techniques, and focus more on that connection aspect and feel and those things. And then find strategies on how to, even if you already have connection with yours, how good can it get? Right? That's one of my teaching mantras when I teach clinics is, how light can you be? How good can it get? Kind of deal.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And to keep raising your expectations.
Right, for that progress and improvement.
Yeah, and for each one of the modules or each one of the concepts that you training your horse for and with.
How have you found teaching Linda's new curriculum? How have you found that working with your students? Like, have you seen different results, or what are you discovering? Yeah, absolutely. Just having, especially the core behaviors, the first 3 modules, kind of as an overlaying filter and internal checklist. Like, is he connected? Is he relaxed? Is he responsive? And then fix it right then and there before you get too far into any kind of tasks or purpose or whatnot. And it's been a very neat addition or evolution of the way I teach and train. I have a 3-year-old in training right now that I feel like I'm better for her. Oh, nice. Now, knowing what I know now. Than before. And it's that the continuous self-improvement. And, that's awesome. Do you have a secret talent, Elli? Back to the talents. I make some pretty yummy Christmas cookies. Oh. I already made 1 batch. Gotta make more when I get home on Thursday. You might have to share the recipe, unless it's a secret. Absolutely. No, I'd be happy to share that. Would be fun. Yeah. Well, that's something I enjoy doing. I don't know if I'm very talented at it, but I haven't heard many complaints other than my significant other who says, more? I didn't know you were making thousands of them. You gotta give them away. Yeah. I feel, like I said earlier, I'm not very good with numbers. Gives me anxiety. My brain just checks out. But I'm all right with words and languages. So. Oh yeah, how many languages do you speak? It's about 6. Wow. They're getting a little rusty. Even my German gets a little weird. I heard you speaking French this weekend. I do not know what it's supposed to sound like, but it sounded pretty good to me. So. Yeah, that one was rusty too. But a glass of wine and more practice and listening to them, and it comes out. That helped. Yeah. Yeah, that's very cool. All right, Ellie. Well, my final question for you, I love asking this one. So if you think about your life and where you are right now, I feel like our lives have different themes or chapters that we kind of flow in and out of. So if you had to describe the chapter that you're in right now with one word, what would it be?
One word?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
That's the hard part.
Can't be a phrase?
Okay.
Geez. If it can be more than one word?
But not too many more.
No. How about living my best life?
That's a bit long.
Okay, well, I could say happiness, but I feel like I've had lots of happy chapters in my life. Maybe how can I combine living my best life with happiness? Maybe equilibrium.
Ooh, that's a good word.
Because it has equi in it, the equus.
I have not heard that one before.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
A good balance, and like I said, being able most nights anyways, go to bed happy and wake up energized, and being able to take those opportunities that present themselves so you don't have to miss out.
No FOMO.
Yeah, exactly. Hashtag no FOMO. But also, being happy with who I am and where I'm at. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
I love it.
Equilibrium is going to be my word.
See, when you're challenged to think of one word, look at the fantastic word you come up with.
I love it. This was not rehearsed.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Ellie, for talking with us. It's always so inspiring to talk to you and just learn from you and just hear about, what drives you and how you're helping the world become a better place for people, horses, your own happiness, which I think is super important. So thank you very much for joining us again today on the Instructor Chronicles Raw and Uncut. Please join us next time. Thank you, Ellie.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.